Good evening, everybody. We are live here with Myrtle Beach Aware with live storm coverage here. We are talking about the potential for severe weather moving into our area Wednesday during the day and into the afternoon hours, early afternoon hours. Probably be out of here probably by, I would say, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So as that front comes through, we may see a pop-up shower or two after the fact, after that main line comes through. But right now we're looking at most likely that 1 to 4 p.m. time frame here with severe weather. Right now, currently, we are looking at a 15% risk of severe weather here along the Grand Strand and parts westward out to about Florence, Columbia area. Beyond that and extending all the way up into portions of northern Pennsylvania, southwestern New York, 5% chance of severe weather as this very large storm is working its way across the country right now. Tonight, we can take a peek at what it's looking like. If you have friends and family in the Texas area and those places, we can take a look at what that risk is looking. And we're gonna start here with the main risk here, the tornado threat here overnight, tonight, and into tomorrow. You can see here this giant area. Right in here is where you're going to have your highest risk of that tornado. They're at a 10% risk here tonight for tornadoes and severe weather across the board here through the overnight hours. And the scary part about this is a nocturnal system here. So the overnight hours. So if you have friends and family in these areas out here, Omaha City, Norman, Oklahoma, Wichita Falls, down into Dallas, Weatherford, Texas, and even extending up into Wichita. They're sitting at a 2% risk of tornadoes there, 5% in places like Stillwater, Pawnee, those areas out into Tulsa, and then definitely this 10% risk here, which includes Ardmore, Oklahoma City, Lawton, Wichita Falls, Denison, McKinney, all the way down, extending almost into Dallas here. So if you have friends in those areas, make sure they have a way to get alerts in the overnight hours in case a tornado warning is issued for those areas. So definitely want to be cautious here for these portions. Now, everything we know about weather is the fact that it moves west to east, right? So this system is going to be moving into our area come Wednesday. So we are going to be definitely a stay aware day here on Wednesday for our area, and we will be chasing. But this storm is absolutely massive. The center of low pressure is going to be developing up in here. So you got this big giant storm that's covering much of the central portion of the United States right now, bringing snow to the north and severe weather to the south. So overall, very, very large storm, and has potential to become a very strong nor'easter here in the northeast as this line starts working its way through. So we're watching that northeast area there as well. This is dumping a lot of snow on places like Minneapolis, Duluth, Sioux Falls, Des Moines, those areas up in the northern portion of the United States. So definitely very large storm as we kind of work through Minneapolis, high risk of 4 inches of snow. You got places like Des Moines here, moderate risk of 4 inches plus. So going to be dumping a significant amount of snow, as well as the tornado and severe weather risk down here in the warm sector of this system. So what are we looking at here as far as tomorrow, as far as tornadoes go? This is where this system really is going to start ramping up as we kind of move through the next 24 hours. Places like, let's see, Monroe, Alexandria, Jackson, these areas of Mississippi, Louisiana, extending all the way back in again into portions like Dallas and McKinney, McAllister, Fort Smith, up to Little Rock, Memphis, and all of these places in western Tennessee here are definitely in that 2% risk of tornadoes. Little Rock's kind of teetering on the 5% there, but the big question and the big place here is a 10% chance of significant severe weather outbreak, and that includes the tornadoes here. So very high risk of tornadoes if you're in the northeastern and just the whole northern portion of Louisiana and the southwestern and southeastern portions of Mississippi extending into that Mobile, Alabama area, definitely want to be have a plan together if you have friends and family in those areas for significant tornadoes. This could be a tornado outbreak day, so anything over 6 tornadoes would be constituted as a tornado outbreak. So could be has potential to be a very busy day tomorrow, and we will be live with a radar stream on this. We will be covering mostly this Jackson area, Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria, those areas down to Mobile, but we will extend out a little bit further if this line of storms, it would be what is called QCLS, will form along that line. So we may have, in the early afternoon hours, may have some pop-up cells pop up here by themselves, a more discrete storm mode there at that point. Around portions of Jackson, Shreveport, New Orleans, those areas coming off of the Gulf here. You're going to be seeing a lot of moisture moving in off of the Gulf ahead of this cold front that is going to be behind here, and a pretty well-defined dry line moving across Texas at that point too. And we'll take a look at that on models here really soon. But definitely very dangerous time tomorrow for those areas, but we will be covering that live with just a radar feed. If we need to pop in every now and then and discuss a certain situation and a certain storm and a warning, we will definitely hop on and talk about that, especially if they are potentially dangerous situations. Sometimes when the tornado becomes confirmed and is on the ground and visually seen, then they will a lot of times consider that a particularly dangerous situation. So we will hop on then and just kind of discuss that as the evening progresses. So let's talk about how this storm, well, this is going to lead us here right to day 3 for our probability here. But let's talk about how this storm is going to kind of advance across the country here, and we'll do that by taking a peek at some models here as we, if I can get my models to pop up. There we go. Okay, so we're going to take a look. Here is the center of low pressure for this storm, a 986 millibar storm, so a very powerful storm. This is eventually here going to be equal to a Category 1-2 hurricane if this was a tropical system. You're not going to see the wind speeds and things like that you would see, but as far as rainfall and moisture and everything and pressure-wise, that you're going to be very similar to a hurricane at that point moving across the country. So this is what we would call a textbook mid-latitude cyclone. So this does have cyclonic characteristics to it. So this will be spinning just like you would see a hurricane or anything like that. Mid-latitude cyclones do that as well. So what are we looking at here as this system moves across the country? You can see how large this system is, covering the entire central portion of the United States, extending and pulling moisture off the Atlantic to bring snow to portions of Canada there just over the border, as well as New England. The tip of Maine up there is getting some snow as well. So very expansive, large system. But this warm sector, you can see all these little red lines, okay? Those red lines represent the warmer temperatures. These blue lines up top represent the cooler temperatures. The 540 line is going to be your freezing line, okay? So you can see that warm sector extends all the way up into portions like Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, up into even portions of the southern Wisconsin. Those areas are in that warm sector kind of extending. So this powerful storm is pulling a ton of moisture and a ton of higher temperatures and dew points off of the Gulf of Mexico and extending pretty far north. So the severe threat for severe thunderstorms extends the entire way up across most of the central United States at this point. So this is moving into tomorrow early evening, and you can see that line of storms here gets pretty well defined here. This is the GFS model. When we get in closer to us here, we're going to hone in on our more high-res models and zoom in a little bit closer to Myrtle Beach. But I want to show you how large this storm is. At this point here on Wednesday morning, The overnight hours, Tuesday into Wednesday, 981 millibars. So very powerful system working its way across the country. Now, that we are going to encounter as far as some severe storms here. This is the overnight hours going in Tuesday into Wednesday morning. So we will encounter a little bit of weakening in this system. Now, some of these warmer temperatures that will be coming into our area due to the south winds are going to increase those chances for that moisture to really dip up. So what's going to keep us here for being able to understand if we're going to be seeing a significant severe weather outbreak, or if we're just going to be more concerned about those winds and damaging winds coming in, is going to be how far north these dew points increase and how far north the warmer temperatures are able to extend on the eastern side of this system. So a lot of factors here still in play over the next 24 hours, but you can see as this system moves through to about 7 a.m., we are looking at in the Columbia area. We got a pretty well-defined line here working its way through the western portions of the state, and then again kind of breaks up a little bit here as it moves into the Florence area, and then kind of gets its act together again as it reaches the coast. So here along the Grand Strand, that we cannot rule out that severe thunderstorm and even that tornado risk as we kind of go through the day into the afternoon hours. And again, by 3-4 o'clock, this system's out of here, but you could see the potential to see maybe a scattered shower or two behind that before that front actually makes its way through. So this is all out ahead of that cold front. So definitely want to pay attention. The cold front's going to sit right back in here. You can see right in here is where the cold front's going to be at that point. So the cold front will then move through in the overnight hours, and we can expect some gusty winds throughout all of that. I know that winds are not something that we want to hear right now along the Grand Strand, but the reality is the winds are going to pick up, and that's going to start tomorrow. So we could see pretty gusty winds tomorrow evening and moving into the overnight hours. So definitely want to watch the wind for sure. I know you can see out there right now we are pretty low on the winds right now. The winds are pretty calm, relatively calm right now. So we're seeing that blanket of smoke yet again. I live here in Clear Pond, so we're seeing that smoke really coming really thick in our community right now, and we're going to continue to see that given that we've got the winds coming off the coast here this evening. That's going to push a lot of that smoke over into our area, areas like Waterford, Plantation, into Conway. Those areas are going to see some of that smoke as well, and it's just going to be a blanket because you got that warm air aloft pushing down on the cold air at the surface, and just creates a ceiling there and does not allow that smoke to rise. It's just that forcing motion is forcing that smoke all the way down to the ground, and unfortunately it's just something that we're going to have to live with here for tonight and probably another day or so here as these fires will continue to burn. So let's take a peek over here at we're gonna switch models here, and I'm gonna come in here so we can talk about what's gonna happen for us. So I'm gonna go with the NAM here, and I'm gonna zoom in to regional. We're gonna take a peek at what this model is showing here. So we're going to go back out all the way to Tuesday. So those of you that have friends out here in the Dixie Alley Deep South area can kind of see how that's going to start to take shape over the next 24 hours here. So here we are out at 1 o'clock tomorrow. You can see this line of storms starting to work through portions of western Louisiana and almost into central Arkansas at that point. And down here is where I'm talking about those storms that can, these are more of those discrete supercells. These ones are well known to produce tornadoes during events like this with the wind shear, and we have a very powerful low-level jet, which I'll show you here in a minute, at upwards of 60-70 knots. So, and very well-defined moisture and a big warm sector, and all of that coming together is the perfect scenario for tornadoes and a major tornado outbreak, to be honest with you. So you can see that line coming across the country, or across these states here, moving into Mississippi, looking in the late evening, just about 10 o'clock, or well, 7 o'clock, and then eventually, as we get into the overnight hours Tuesday and into the morning hours of Wednesday, that system starts to work through. Now, the NAM's being a little generous here for western portions of South Carolina, and kind of wants to stay that way consistently through the eastern portions of the state. But you do see it kind of gets its act together here a little bit as we move through the Florence area and into the Conway area. So we could see some winds here, some excessive winds, and some heavy rains, along with the potential for the possibility of a tornado or two here in the eastern portion of South Carolina. So now that's just one model run here. Let's see. I don't know if the HRRR is going to get us out far enough to today. Let's go back. No, this one's, I'm not going to get us out far enough, so can't look at that one yet, but we can take a peek at the back here at the GFS here and take a look at what the radar might look like as we move through. You can see them, that system moving through Mississippi and into Alabama, eventually into Georgia, and by the early morning hours at 7 a.m. it is out here in Columbia, working its way towards Florence, and eventually by 1 p.m. it is here on the coast and working its way through. So between that 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. is when we're looking at the chances for that significant severe, or that slight severe, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between tomorrow and Wednesday, but that slight severe chance here along the coast. I think looking at the forecast here and what I'm seeing on models, I think our biggest risk here is going to be damaging winds. You know, we do run that small chance. We do have a small chance for that tornado. The conditions are favorable, slightly favorable for tornadoes in that regard. So definitely want to keep our eyes on that as the day goes on, and we will be out live streaming throughout this entire event. You guys can follow along with us on the stream as we are working through the day on Wednesday. So what are we looking at here? Let's take a peek at temperatures for the day on Wednesday. So we will go out to 7 a.m. here. You can see our temperatures are in the 60s at 7 a.m. This is all that moisture and warm air coming up with our southerly winds, bringing that temperature all the way up. And you can even, if you take a peek here nationally here, you can see that warm sector really rises all the way up into portions like northern Virginia and up to about the Mason-Dixon line. So we're getting a really big warm sector here over the state of South Carolina. And eventually throughout the day, by 10 a.m., you can see that temperature difference. This is the line of storms that are going to be right here. Still hovering around 70, 71 degrees here along the coast. And at that point, dew points are still pretty saturated here. So we're going to be at dew points in the 60s for the afternoon. So the conditions are there. And you mix that with this 850 millibar. This is right off the surface. You mix those ingredients with a 67 knot lower level jet, you have the ingredients for severe weather and a tornado or two as well. So how does this look for severe weather? So let's take a look at our instability here along the coast during that time. So we are showing a little bit of instability here right along the coast. So I think our biggest threat here for that severe weather and the risk of tornadoes is going to be anywhere from the coast all the way in towards Florence, Conway, Marion, those areas. Not saying that there will be a tornado, but that risk is there for the potential to see a tornado. As far as supercell composite, We're running a 3 here right along the coast here. So potential for to see supercells is pretty decent there, and mix that with the that tornado parameter and all of our cape is pretty good. So we do have that risk there. That risk is always there, and we will definitely keep you aware of any kind of warnings or anything like that associated with this as this line moves across the country here and into South Carolina. But according to the NAM here, let's go back here and take a peek at that again real quick. So here is the supercell composite for the NAM. It's being a little more aggressive here in places like west of Conway out to Florence. So we could see here by, if I can zoom out here by about 11 a.m., between 11 and 1, the conditions are favorable here for supercell development here. So we could see that potential for that severe thunderstorm as well. So conditions are definitely there as we move throughout the afternoon and into the early evening there. Probably by 3-4 o'clock, things are out of here and gone. As far as significant tornado parameter, you can see these darker colors here are the higher chances for that tornado outbreak. Okay, so here you can see, and if we pull a sounding here, I'm not going to explain exactly what this sounding says and everything about it, but you can see that possible hazard type here is tornado. We're getting very good turning of the upper level winds here. Our ceiling is very low, so definitely a good risk there of the possibility of a tornado as well. So definitely want to keep an eye on this, and we will be out chasing this line. Probably going to be focusing our chase on the Florence and east direction. Not thinking that we're going to have too many. We can look at supercell composite here. I want to look at the reflectivity here and kind of zoom in on our area here. So not thinking we're going to see too much in the way of these discrete supercells or discrete thunderstorms working their way through too much ahead of this. It does point out a slight amount of them. So I think my main focus is going to be the main line here, where we're going to have more of that linear storm mode here, where the storms are all kind of together in one line. That's going to be the main risk area there as we kind of move forward. But look how expansive this storm is. It's absolutely amazing how large this system is here. Again, down here in the eastern portions of Florida, out into the Panhandle, you're looking at the severe risk as well, just like we are here in South Carolina. So timing wise, right now, probably by 1 o'clock here on the coast, so between 11 and 1 is where we're going to start really honing in on the severe weather risk here along the coast and from Florence east to the coast. Anybody have any questions or concerns or anything right now? If you do, please leave them in the comments and I will answer them as quickly as I can as we kind of keep moving through this broadcast here tonight. The one thing I do want to talk about right now is our winds here. So we're going to kind of take a look at our winds as we move through the next 24 hours or so. The winds are going to increase as we kind of go through the overnight hours and into tomorrow. I'm going to zoom in locally here. If it'll get me in there, there we go. So right here we got, let's go, we are at Monday, and we'll do 8 p.m. here. So right now you can see we've got our winds coming out of the east right now down in Charleston, and we're looking more southeast here in Myrtle Beach. And then as we go through Tuesday into the morning hours, we get winds kind of shift a little bit out of the north there at 5 a.m. and then eventually back by 8 a.m. we are back to an easterly wind here, and then eventually Tuesday overnight or Tuesday afternoon we're still looking at that easterly wind at about 10 miles per hour, or sorry, 10 knots there. So, and then as we work through the day on Tuesday and into Wednesday, you can see that shift to the southerly winds here, and the winds do increase as we go throughout the day. And eventually, as that front approaches, winds will shift out of the west, and we will see a significant cool down there. So we are definitely watching the winds. These are winds at 10 meter. These are gusts. So let's take a peek at wind gusts here of what we expect we could potentially see as we move through the day tomorrow. I'm going to start at 7 a.m. here. Relatively calm winds at 7 a.m. By 9 a.m. you could see gusts as high as 16, 18, 19 by 12 p.m. and 20 miles per hour by 5 p.m. is where we could see our gusts. And again, not the type of situation that we want to be in when we have active fires, but we've got a wonderful fire department here in Horry County and several other municipalities around the state of South Carolina and some North Carolina crews out there helping to battle this, to keep this at bay for us. But as we look through Wednesday at 5 a.m., we could be seeing gusts anywhere around 46 miles per hour throughout the day, 40 to 50 miles per hour. And as we start getting into where we start seeing that line of storm start working through, that's where you get up close to 60 miles per hour here by 11 a.m. of gusts. And by then, those winds are going to start shifting out of the west for the most part there. So we will have gusts out of the south tomorrow or Wednesday morning, bringing in that warm air and that moisture to help kind of re-intensify this line as it starts to move across the state. So definitely something to watch out for with the winds. Not saying that we're in major danger here with the fire, but we will definitely keep you posted on that as we kind of move through the day tomorrow and into Wednesday for sure, as we're still experiencing some dry temperature or some dry air. However, humidity is expected to increase as we move through tomorrow into Wednesday, and that's all due to that moisture we're pulling off of the Gulf and from the southern Atlantic here of the United States. So we're definitely going to be pulling some moisture in, which is a good thing, keeping the humidity relatively higher. By Wednesday, let's see here. We'll break this down through Tuesday at about 8 a.m. here. At 8 a.m. we're looking about 84% humidity here, and moving through into Wednesday, that humidity really increases, 93, 96, 95, ahead of that cold front as it works through. After the cold front, obviously going to bring down humidity back into the 60s, where we're going to start seeing some of that drier air start moving in again. So definitely going to be keeping an eye on the forecast for the winds here over the next 24 to 48 hours and keep you guys aware of what's going on as far as winds go. You can see here this is dew points here, how that moisture starts really working in Wednesday morning. We're getting dew points in the mid 60s here as we move through. Right ahead of that, between that 11 and 1 period, we got dew points in the high 60s and temperatures in the 70s. So great fuel for severe thunderstorms. Again, with that lower level jet just whipping through our area, and you're talking several thousand feet off the ground at that point, of about 65 to 67 knots. So very good chance we could see some severe weather. If not, maybe a tornado or two. Quick spin off there. Very low risk for tornadoes, but that chance is always there. So we can't say a zero risk of tornadoes. Some other meteorologists said it the best here today: a non-zero risk. So not quite zero. We're not zero, but we're not a significant risk. So definitely keeping an eye on that. But we're going to be keeping an eye on those winds here over the next 24 hours here, and we will definitely keep you guys aware of what's going on as far as winds go. But not a whole lot in the way of strong winds or anything like that overnight tonight. So hopefully, as crews continue to monitor the situation here in Carolina Forest, things will start to improve a little bit there as we kind of move through. Now, these fires are still going to be burning come Wednesday. Some of these areas could burn for weeks if allowed. So we're definitely going to be paying attention to that as the wind comes. As far as rain goes, I don't think we're going to be getting enough rain to even put a damper on any of the fires, but definitely will help a little bit. Definitely not going to be enough rain to get us out of a drought or anything like that. But we were definitely going to see some form of rain and most likely very high risk of winds. That's going to be our big thing. Wind damage is going to be our main concern here as we kind of move through the next 48 hours. So we will keep you updated on that. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, please feel free to reach out. We will answer comments and messages as quickly as possible. I am monitoring them during this wildfire event here, so I wanted to take a break from wildfire coverage and make sure that I got this information out to you guys for the severe weather risk. So again, our area here, a 15% probability of severe weather Wednesday afternoon and into the early evening. 11 a.m. to about 1 is the main area that I'm looking at as far as severe weather. We will be chasing probably from Florence back to Myrtle Beach, following that line as it comes, unless we get some pop-up discrete supercells, thunderstorms that want to form around the Charleston area or anywhere around Myrtle Beach. So we will keep our eyes on that. I will know a little bit more exactly where I'll be kind of pinpointing my chase come Wednesday morning as we start looking at some surface ingredients and different things like that. So once I can get some of that information, I will definitely let you guys know where we will be live, and but you guys can follow us live all day long on Wednesday. We will be live tomorrow with the radar feed for areas like Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So if you have friends and family in those areas, make sure you please reach out to them and let them know that we will have a live radar feed up for them and going over warnings and alerts for that area. And again, if we want to take a look at those areas where the largest severe risk is for tornadoes in that area, tomorrow we are looking, if you're in the Jackson, Mississippi, Yazoo City, Monroe, Louisiana, Alexandria, Laurel, Mississippi, extending into Mobile, Alabama, definitely want to be paying attention. This is the 10% significant severe, so we could definitely see some tornadoes in this area. This is hatched, so definitely could see the potential for strong tornadoes in these areas tomorrow. So we will be live with that radar coverage for you guys to be able to watch that for your friends and family in those areas. Tonight, looking at a slight chance here of tornadoes if you're in the Wichita Falls, Oklahoma City area, extending down into Dallas. So we're going to be paying attention to that as well. This evening, will not have a live radar stream going for this, but I will definitely tomorrow, given that severe risk there that they have. And then obviously we'll be watching with a live chase and live stream on Wednesday for our area. So anybody have any questions, please send that over to us. If you haven't done so yet, please head over to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube here before we do a giveaway. So definitely get yourself over there and hit that bell icon so you receive notifications when we go live during severe events. But I want to thank you guys all for tuning in here tonight for this live coverage update on severe weather for our area moving into Wednesday. And we hope you guys are all staying safe out there and tolerating the smoke as much as possible. I can smell it here in my studio. So definitely in there suffering with you with the smoke for sure. But if anybody has any questions, comments, needs to know any answers to anything, please feel free to reach out. I'm always here for the community and ready to give you updates as the updates come in to my desk. I will send them out to you guys. So you guys focus on staying safe, and